So then you have this other situation that comes up, right? So then the state attorney Love starts talking about some of these. So remember last week they were talking about there have been overt acts happening while these guys have been in jail. So then the Love starts to tell the judge, hey, one of these overt acts is Shannon Stillwell was found with like a cell phone and some drugs and all that in his cell. So the state is saying that's an overt act because we have charged them with intent to distribute drugs as an organization. So that's part of it. Of course, Shard argued against that to say like, no, pretty much. He's like, no. And the state is like, yes. Another thing they said happened is that somebody went in Mr. Ryan's cell, took some stuff from him. So then Mr. Ryan, Demise McMullen, a couple other YSL associates, as they say, went and beat the person up and stabbed them up crazy, right? So they're saying that's an overt act because multiple YSL members did it together and they were protecting the gang and, all that type of stuff. So they were naming some of the things that have happened. And then they said the thing where the guy walked up to Young Thug in the court, handed him a pill. That's being considered an overt act. The way Attorney Love described it, she's like, yeah, Young Thug Jeffrey Williams was hiding his hands, and then the guy handed him a Percocet, and then he hid his hands back under the table, and the deputy said, put it down, or whatever the situation. Keith Adams stood up, he argued and said, that's not how it happened, Judge. You'll watch the video, it didn't happen like that. Personally, when I watched it, I agree with what Keith Adams said. Young Thug never tried to conceal this pill. This man walked up to him, handed him something, and he pretty much put it down or gave it to the deputy immediately. He never put his hand back under the table. He handed it over immediately. But the judge agreed with the state on that and said pretty much, okay, that would be considered an overt act. We can talk about it or whatever. The issue with that is, now let me see something. Hold on, give me a second, y'all. Now, so while they were arguing about the stuff that was found in Shannon Stillwell's cell, once again, Attorney Love says, Judge, may we approach? So why is Attorney Love never want to have these conversations out loud? I don't understand. But anyway, they went up to the judge and said whatever they said, and then they came back and the judge is like, pretty much, I'm not going to allow the stuff about Shannon Stillwell and his cell to be considered in this case. And she's like, y'all can indict that at some other time, but it's just not part of this case, right? So I don't know what kind of argument her and Shard had up there at the front, but whatever it was, it didn't go in Attorney Love's favor, okay? So Mr. Stillwell, just know if and when you beat this case right here, the state is going to come after you some more for some more stuff. So, it's a never-ending cycle when you play around in the streets. I just want people to keep that in mind, right? My man, I don't even know if he's in the chat. My man Ked hit me up a couple of days ago, and he was just like pointing out, and I agree with him. He was pointing out that Attorney Love's demeanor and the way she speaks is completely different in front of Judge Whitaker than it was in front of Judge Glanville, right? She's a lot more reserved and submissive when it comes to Whitaker. And it's just like, and I understand why, because, all of these people have professional duties and they have professional conduct that they have to adhere to and all that. But this is still a professional black woman dealing with a professional white woman who's a judge. Now, some people could say this don't have nothing to do with race. Why are you bringing up race? It always has something to do with race. I'm sorry. This is America. It always has something to do with race. This woman sits in a position and she has called out Attorney Love a bunch of times on her candor, on her professionalism. These are, if you've been working in corporate America, if you've been working as an adult for a long time, a lot of black people look at terms like that when reference to black people from white people as dog whistle terms. I mean, they're saying something else, but they're using these other terms. They use terms like hygiene. They use terms like grooming. They use terms like professionalism. They use these as dog whistle terms against and about black people. So Attorney Love, knowing her professional responsibility, understanding respectability politics, she is trying to come off as politely as possible in front of this judge because she knows if she acts in any way how she behaved when she was in front of Glanville, how it will come off, and immediately she will be sat down and probably embarrassed in that courtroom. And we're going to talk about outbursts because we just had a crazy outburst yesterday on Thursday. And we're going to talk about outbursts, and we're going to talk about the difference between how a judge is going to handle an elderly white man versus how a judge is going to handle a middle-aged black woman prosecutor. Now, Attorney Love lost that battle about Shannon Stillwell and stuff was in his cell, right? Again, I don't like how Attorney Love always want to come up to the judge and have these like private conversations like, yo, if y'all are investigating these people, that's cool. But like, they all know that they're being investigated. Like, so you want to go up to the judge and say, Judge, we can't say this in open court because they're being investigated right now for these crimes that they're still committing. Like, come on, man, stop it. So remember last week, and we're about to get deeper into this. Remember last week, the judge said, the judge was like, hey, state, if y'all think that you can consider overt acts that happened after the indictment was brought in this RICO case right here, you need to show me some case law. Another week has passed. They have not shown any case law. Another week has passed. Brian Steele has shown case law to say the exact opposite of what the state is saying. What this tells me is, had the state been allowed to do this, or had the defendants not had a lawyer, attorney as good as Brian Steele and his cohorts, his compatriots on his side, the state probably has used this tactic before where they say, okay, we're going to lock up gang members for a RICO case, right? And then we're going to watch them while they're in jail. Things that they do in jail, we're also going to include in the RICO case and use to help indict them in front of the jury. And no judge has probably stopped them from doing that. Whitaker told them that you can't do that. Brian Steele found case law to say you can't do that. But the fact that Love said it so confidently that she thought that that was the way that the law worked tells me that they have done this to people before, which is extremely sick. Because Brian Steele brought the case law right out. United States versus Harding. What are we talking about? You understand? So I thought that was a little spooky because it's like, yo, this is something that y'all have done. Somebody is in prison right now because y'all used something that happened in jail against an indictment that y'all, sick stuff going on, man. So the judge actually said, like, there was some argument going on, and Mr. Ryan actually seems to have like a new public defender on his side. Is her name Miss Abbasi? What's her name, y'all? I think it's Abbasi. The white lady, right? She held it down. Like, she was up there arguing, and I'm like, yo, where has she been this whole time? They needed somebody like her in the cut, coming with the case law, coming with the understanding and everything like that. This lady is sharp. Where has she been this whole time? Ryan needed her. I guess she's probably coming in more now because Ryan's name is actually starting to come up more now that it's, you know what I'm saying? So she says something like, Judge, there's no law to say what this lady is saying is true. And the judge said, I'm skeptical that the state is going to find any law to support what they're saying about these post-indictment things. And the Mr. Ryan's lawyer was talking about, like, this is approaching a due process violation. You're about to try to convict people for items that the grand jury never even heard of. She said that's a due process violation. And I agree. I mean, I don't know the law enough to call out a due process violation, but I agree that she said it and it sounded like she was right on point to me. So then Weinstein also gets back in and says, yo, Judge, I want to remind you, I got this motion in for this trial because the state is taking way too long. Like, what are we doing? What are we actually doing here? The state says that they're going to be finished by XYZ time, but it's no way possible. They take weeks on like Weinstein was like, Copeland is not the first witness that they've taken taken a long time on. Some of these witnesses are taking weeks long. Even a week is a long time for a witness to be on the stand, especially when they're only talking about very specific incidents. You don't need them up there that long. And they started talking about how the expert witnesses, how many gang experts are y'all going to bring out? How many of these witnesses? So, Love is like, Judge, we already tried to condense it. We had a list of 700 and we got that list all the way down to 150. This is pretty much as we can go. So the judge pretty much said that Weinstein's motion is granted, but she doesn't have like the specific remedy for him yet because she needs to see if any of this stuff the state does is starting to become cumulative. And if it is, then she will cut it out. She will exclude it. But she's saying at this point, though, It hasn't been cumulative in front of her. It's pretty much what she's saying. So had she been around from the beginning, it might be a different story. But because she's coming in now, the stuff is not cumulative to her. So that's how she was handling. But she told Weinstein his motion was granted, though, which is interesting. Also, Whitaker said she agreed. She used the words long and painful. She said Copeland's testimony has been long and painful. And wow, because she's only gotten, a week of it. So she didn't even see the worst of his testimony. The worst of his testimony happened in June. If she would have saw that, that is when it was really crazy. Okay. Tuesday, all video evidence, more argument, nothing what I would consider substantive. That's when the Bruton stuff was going on. Yak Gotti saying stuff they had to exclude. Wednesday, let me see what happened Wednesday. So they played this jail call from Shannon Stillwell. And I'm just like, I was so confused because I'm just like, there was a time when we was out here and we, even people who was like super small time, like, yo, I sell nicks and dimes and all that. Even we wouldn't talk on the phone because we just thought the FBI was looking for us. The FBI want to stop me from making $30 off of nicks. Like, so we even wouldn't talk on the phone like that. And if we did, it would be extremely coded to where you couldn't, even one of our other friends that wasn't involved wouldn't understand what we were saying. But the phone call that I heard, these dudes had a full-blown blood gang meeting on the phone. I'm just like, a G-Shine meeting on the phone like that where they doing their oaths over the phone. They're saying who their big homies is, naming people. Some of them saying their real first name. Some of them saying where they from, where they at, where they currently located in the jail, what jail they in. They just was saying so much. And I was just like, these are street dudes. These is what the modern street dudes is. It used to be, oh, nah. You start saying certain stuff on the phone. Oh, I already know you snitching. And you will hang it up on somebody because you would think they was trying to set you up. If somebody called you saying certain stuff on the phone, you would think they was trying to set you up and you would hang it up on them. The phone call that I heard from now this is one of the phones, Global Tel Link Secures, where they are the automated recording is telling you throughout the phone, we are listening to you. And they having this call on the jail phone. And I'm just very confused as to as to what's going on. And some of these guys were supposedly big homies on the phone. You on the phone talking to your little homie that's in jail, and you're not telling him, hey, why are you having this conversation on the phone? We got to figure out another way to do this convo. We can't do it on this phone. That they're like, oh, call this person on three-way. Call it. I'm like, oh my God, this is beyond me. So that phone call, I'm just like, yo, and I said this on Twitter, and that was a joke, but I was serious. Like, Max Shard is fighting for his life up there with these Shannon Stillwell phone conversations because there was no regard for his freedom in these calls. He is saying just saying anything on the phone. I was a little bit baffled by it. I was listening to it, just like laughing, like, what is this? Like, you calling home so somebody could you calling on the jail phone, somebody could verify that you not on hold and you good and they need to protect you and everything need to be everything and everything is cool and this big homie know this one, and then the big homie on the joint like, hey, tell everybody to come around. Everybody need to get on the phone with me one at a time, or we about to have a real meeting because Montana ain't calling no shots up there. They need to come through me. He don't put nobody on hold unless I tell him man. Now, this is one thing that I realized. This is why I said, like, the title on here is getting ugly. Now it's getting ugly. It's getting spooky for YSL. I'm going to tell you. The way that this is shaping up and with the evidence they have right here, I can't even, honestly, and I said this before, I can't believe that the lyrics thing was ever an issue, because without any lyrics at all, let's just say without the lyrics, they might not have had much connection for Young Thug at all. They probably only used lyrics to bring Young Thug into it. But let's just say without Young Thug, everybody else was going to be in this indictment no matter what, because of the evidence that they have and the amount of people that they have in this indictment talking about each other and to each other about each other and about crimes, right? I think they are going to have to find a way to get a mistrial. And we're gonna talk again about this. They're gonna have to find a way to get a mistrial with prejudice because the way that some of this stuff sounds when it like, let's put the Donovan Thomas murder incident. Excuse me, the Donovan Thomas murder incident happened, and they don't really have good evidence about it, right? So that, like, most of this case being hinged on the Donovan Thomas murder doesn't really make sense because they don't have anything on that, right? They should have waited until they really had a case and then just prosecuted that one. But when they start like getting into the stuff around the Shamel Drinks murder and the retaliations for like their friends, what it was, the double homicide, and then the dude saying, "Yo, I just seen Busy," or whatever dude name was. When they start getting into that, that's where it start to look a lot uglier for YSL. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna keep it real. Maybe not Young Thug specifically, but for the rest of them, it starts looking extremely bad for their chances with this whole thing. I'm sure the way Brian Steele is gonna put this thing together, he's gonna find a way to probably get Young Thug out of this. The rest of these guys, though, man, listen, I don't know. After hearing what I heard this week, and after hearing Attorney Love's explanation for how a conspiracy can be convicted, when I heard that, that's when I said, okay, it's spooky now. Now, when we go to Thursday, right? When we go to Thursday and they start playing Lil D's cell phone and his phone is tapped, if I was one of them and I started hearing some of this evidence, I would think that he knew his phone was tapped and he was setting everybody up. That's what I would think, because some of them phone calls, man, was just like, once again, like I said, if back in the day, if somebody called you saying certain stuff, you would hang up on them because you thought they was trying to set you up. The stuff they were saying was just crazy. Oh man, it was really just wild. Let me see. I don't need to go into every little detail of Thursday until we get to that the outburst from Mr. Harvey. Did y'all see that? Did y'all see that outburst from Mr. Harvey?